Hey guys, welcome back to another edition of Simply Fit. I'm your host, Sandy White, your number one health and wellness cheerleader. And today we're going to be talking about all things faith with Linwood Jackson Jr. Before we get into all the juiciness and allow him to knock your socks off, I want to thank WYTV7 Christian Broadcasters Network for allowing Simply Fit to be on their platform for the third season. Guys, we're on a mission to save 1 million lives by encouraging individuals to live a simply fit life through health and nutrition so that they're able to overcome suicide and depression. Go to the website, wytv7.org, and check out all of the broadcasters that are on there, as well as all of the wonderful things that we're doing in the community. So, with that being said, let me give you guys a little bit about Linwood. After that, he's got the floor. So, Linwood is an author, a writer on mental and spiritual health and on its life altering benefits. He believes in the power of the Bible's word when sincerely exercised and studied. Through his books, speeches, and discourses, he encourages individuals to think and feel for self because self-love may bloom into self-possession through the knowledge acquired from experience. This, he says, betters the personal and devotional life, not only for the person, but also for all around them. And guys, he has a book. It's called Justification. It is on Amazon, and he'll talk about that a little later too. So, welcome to the show, Linwood, and thank you for coming on, taking out of your busy schedule for it, basically to enlighten the viewers because of what's going on. A lot of people need what you're about to talk about. So, how are you today?
I'm good and glad that you have me. Your initiative fits with me perfectly. There's, a lot that we go through as human beings that we really don't understand. And so your initiative to prevent suicide and bodily harm, and which has a lot to do with mental health, that's an initiative I support. So when you allowed me to come on here, I was excited.
You're excited. We're excited because a lot of people think that they're alone when things go, disarray. They feel like there's nobody to talk to, and so I love your book. I love the fact that you're out here, and so they can reach out to you because it's so weird. Because sometimes people feel that they can talk to strangers a lot more than the people that are close to them. So I'm all for being the help that somebody needs, and I appreciate your mission. So, give the audience a little bit more specifically what your mission is, and then how your book relates to your mission and what you're aiming to go. You're aiming for your goals for them.
Yeah, my mission began with, and still is, on love and the definition of love. So the mission is to get the definition of love out there in a way that is reasonable towards us. Even before we started talking, you mentioned about or spoke to individuals that want to give up their religion or things like that, and it has to do a lot with love. And the age that we're living in, it's ruled by technology, and so when you see technology advancing and yet religion not, it makes you go, what's going on? So there's minds out there that are not content with consenting to religion being as it is, while technology is apparently in science, apparently growing in also their religions also. So for me, it's about love. The first time I picked up the Bible and went into the Bible, it was a need to discover the definition of love that wasn't romantic, that wasn't fanatical, that wasn't sensual, and that had nothing to do with an approach that I take towards somebody else externally or falsely inwardly. It was an approach of edifying. And the more that I studied the Bible and the more that I learned the practicality of the philosophy that's within it, the definition of edification stood out to me and actually matches up in the original Greek language that's written in as love. And when I learned that the definition of love in the Bible is edification, that just opened up a whole scope of different subjects. And from then on, it has been, I'm in this for a particular reason, to learn why I have no knowledge of love within me innately, being born up until now. Why don't I have any knowledge of it? How come, even though I was shown it physically, there is no sort of practical intellect within myself for it to give myself that love that is real, and also another person. So the more that I began to study, it became, if I'm going through something as a human being and it's kind of messing up my mind and the actions and the behaviors that I'm doing, there's other people on this planet going through worse situations. And whoever's going through a worse situation, they need just as much as I do, or maybe even more, to know the definition of love in a practical sense that makes sense to them. Because half of this world, their disposition is towards superstition, the other half is towards logic and reason. And there's the middle part that loves superstition and reason. So whoever you are and wherever you're at, I just want to reach them with a practical understanding of the definition of love, which as human beings, we all fall into. And that, getting that out there and bringing minds in to think about how they're edifying themselves and also the people around them by their thoughts, feelings, actions, and behaviors. That's the goal.
So, just so the audience gets a really good feel for what you mean when you say show practical love, what are some examples of what your definition is of practical love?
So, for example, what I've learned from the Bible of what practical love is my actions and my behaviors, thinking about them in a way that is edifying towards somebody else, thinking about them in a way that is not edifying towards somebody else. So, if usually when we think of love, when we think of service, we think of communion and fellowship as being some sort of physical act to alleviate some sort of physical burden or to sort of display a show of physical love so that another person can know or other people can see that this person loves me or this person loves what they're doing. It's from an outward sort of perspective, the definition of love and how it's received and how it's given. The practical part of it is the show is mental. So instead of showing you physically, I'm showing you mentally that I love you by guarding and by watching and by refining my own habits of mind and dispositions and conclusions of how I got to those habits of mind and dispositions to the point where I will not, or I will do my best to continually learn how to not disrupt you on your goal of doing the same thing. Even if you may not be aware of that as a human being, this is your need and you need to do this. My example, this is the practical part of it. My example can then allow you to see a change in a character that you've never seen before, or can allow you to see a change in a disposition that you've never been familiar with, to where you go, this is interesting and it's something I'd like to mimic, even though you may not be conscious that you're saying it. You're seeing the method of edification being displayed within me. It's logical, there's a philosophy behind it, and there's in depth. I'm doing what I'm doing so that you can be refreshed in how you understand yourself, to the point where then you go, wow, I need to be refreshed in my own self too, because this is how they're behaving. And then that just carries from where we are to the public, and then other people seeing you can see where you got that from, and then you know you where you got that from, and it's just a spreading of love, but in the sense of the Bible, edification. So the practical sense of it is intelligently displaying the philosophy of edifying the heart and the mind without it being a physical, hey, these are some flowers, feel good about yourself. It's going to be one of those, hey, look or see how I'm treating you and understand that this is the right way to treat me back and to treat another person back, or see how our conversation is going and how our dialogue is flowing so that you can know what a dialogue should flow like, so that you can carry that out beyond me, beyond you, beyond us. That's, that practical sense of it, making it real, making the edification real.
I love that. Basically, in a nutshell, you're saying be a model in the moment. And so when somebody comes within your presence, they should feel and the energy that is so positive, that's so overwhelming, just as you said, like, oh my God, what is it about this person? I love whatever you're putting out in the atmosphere. I want some of that. I love it. Hey guys, we're going to take a quick break. I know you guys are just as engaged as I am with Linwood, but we're going to take a quick commercial break from Simply Fit, and then we'll be right back.
Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WYTV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WITV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again.
So guys, we're back from our commercial break from Simply Fit. If you're just joining us, this is our second half, and we've been talking with Linwood in reference to spirit, love, and how you can basically take the practicalities and put them into your everyday life where you're not feeling drained, you're not overwhelmed, where, we were talking during the break, some people literally make that comment that they're putting their religion down. And so I'm going to stop there and I'm going to let Linwood pick it up because his analogy and explanation is so spot on that I think you guys can pick up on that. So Linwood, I'm going to let you take it away from there.
Yeah, it's there's a difference in the Bible between the Bible defines religion differently than what we do traditionally. The Bible defines religion by the illustration of what we call the crucifixion of that individual that we call Jesus. That the center of the Bible's religion is focused on this illustration. And this illustration is a depiction as it's telling you what the first apostles taught. Ephesians 2 and verse 15, Galatians 3 and verse 13, 1 Corinthians 15 and 56. The way that the first apostles taught this illustration is that the body of the man is not supposed to be represented as a human body, which is what religion falsely does. The first apostles taught that that body was a specific religious philosophy. And this religious philosophy that is supposed to be, when we see that body crucified, it illustrates the crucifixion of this philosophy. This philosophy is taking your righteousness, beauty, pride, intelligence, and form, your piety, and your favor with a divine eye, from doing specific rites, baptisms, believing on specific doctrines and philosophies, and committing yourself to theological theories and philosophies that have been written by other philosophers beforehand, and continuing on into the present day. That's the crucified way of devotion, according to the Bible. The figurative illustration of that resurrected body is illustrating the resurrection of your personal religious conversation. So now being crucified to that former way of honoring the living God, your mind, as it says in the book of Romans chapter 7, and the spirit of your devotional character is supposed to be risen to a new manner of devotion and to a new thought and feeling on how to honor the living God, which isn't through baptisms, which isn't physical or believing on specific theological theories. It's through you practically applying the words that are within the Bible patiently and temperately, day in and day out, fail and success, recycling the experience, so that you can then become the product that the Bible is. The Bible is a book of creation. Creation within is the new covenant, Jeremiah 31, Hebrews chapter 8, that the Bible talks about. Creation within the conversation's conscience, and then to touch on like the absolute point and beauty of your show, the conscience of the human being. So getting to the conscience of the conversation and enlightening it and edifying it, we are then aware that we have a body and that we have a mind that we have to take care of. So taking care of our devotional self, it awakens the need for us to care for our physical self. And then the aspect of wholeness is just one cycle that continues until we perfect this experience, until we pass away.
That is so awesome. I want to ask you if you can give the audience a couple examples on how the Bible's philosophy is good for us right now, and then maybe go into one of the points that you had in your book, what the seed of faith is.
The seed of faith is when we're going through our religious experience, whatever leads us to the Bible, whatever leads us to believe on whatever we believe on, we're carrying a child inside of us. This child is our conversation's conscience, our faith's intellect. This is the hope of our confidence of what we believe the God of the Bible can do. Whatever we believe, however we got to however we got, there is a child of faith that growing inside of us. Like a normal child, this child of faith within the womb of our conversation has to grow, and it has to be fed, and it has to grow and it has to be fed to be born. So there's a lot of individuals who are literally pregnant until they die and have never given birth to their faith. They're walking around pregnant. They have never once fed their faith, right? So it can be born. They've never once allowed the walls of their body to contract so that they can feel that they need to release the intellect and the assurance that they have within themselves. That seed of faith is the conscience of your conversation combined with your devotional character. That seed of faith needs to be nurtured by the words that are within the Bible. And this is where the definition of justification leads. You know, Isaiah 53 speaks about the definition of justification, and it says, "By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many." Now, this is different from what the traditional sense of the word justification means, which is broken down as just as if I had never sinned. That philosophy being, which is traditionally taught, that Jesus has, by his death, taken away all your sins and now you have to do nothing. This contradicts the Bible's philosophy. In the book of Proverbs 11:9, through knowledge shall the just be delivered. The Bible has a strict code, and that strict code is that the knowledge of you and the knowledge of your experience is what delivers. The deliverance in the Bible is not the same as the deliverance of the Christian religion, or as the deliverance of what we would believe in a human sense. The Bible's deliverance is a deliverance from religious error and from religious ignorance, to the point that once you are delivered from that religious ignorance, that knowledge of you can be applied to you, and you can then spin it around and gain more knowledge from it, so that the experience isn't dictated to you, and that the experience isn't based off of mother and father, and that the experience isn't based off of the energy of my best friend, but that the experience is based off of the knowledge that you gain from practically applying the experience that you have to yourself. Going through that struggle and going through the inward dialogue that you have, so that you can know that, yes, the Bible is living. And there are, I've gone through the different arguments with the atheists of the world and the Christians of the world and the evolutionists of the world, to the point where they believe that the Bible does not teach you knowledge, that the Bible only wants you to believe in something without having any proof of it. All you have to do is just go on and believe by faith. This is the atheistic argument for the impracticality of the Bible. Now, when I show the atheists that the Bible's foundation is built on knowledge, because you cannot have faith without knowledge, their argument stops. And it's quite hilarious, because they have nothing more to say. So the Bible's intellect is different from what we understand it to be. And that's where the falling off of religion comes from, because I'm not going to want to be someplace where I'm not going to have, I want to think about what I love. When you think about love, you don't think about like, I love you for no reason. I love you and I don't know why I love you. If you love, you know why you love. And there's people that love something in the Bible and they're not being fed it. And because they're not being fed it in an intellectual way, their spirituality is declining. And that's something for them to realize or recognize, so that they can then take that and dig in personally to what they're missing. There's a lot of people that even message me saying, I don't even feel it when I go to church anymore. When I go to church, the energy isn't there. When I go to church, I feel negative. I don't know why I feel negative when I go to church. My reply is, okay, then don't. You have a brain. You are a person. You are connected to the living God. Pick up your Bible and open the temple that is within you. Forget that when the man spoke about his resurrection, he said, he spake of his body. He spake of the temple of his body. Decoding that language from Greek, from the English back into the Greek, and then the Greek back into the English, he wasn't talking about a literal body that we're supposed to be reformed and revived in. The temple of the body is within. The moment we pick up those words with the Bible, we are having intercourse with that energy and with the mind within the Bible. And that fellowship, that is our communion. And that's really another point that I like to make in my writings, or to whoever sends me a message or anything like that, is that you have a living connection with the living God, just like air has a living connection with your lungs. So that one aspect, and the aspect of that connection being for love, and the fact that the seed of your faith, whatever you have that led you to the Bible, it's there for a specific reason. It needs to be watered, and it needs to be cultivated intelligently. And the only way you can do that is through exercising your mind in those words, individually, independently, consistently, temperately, patiently.
I love it. So basically, you really need to have a relationship with God so that you can explore or expound on that rapport so you're not feeling empty, because it is our responsibilities, as you just mentioned, individually to learn what God put in his Bible and how to implement it. It's no one else's responsibility. The pastor is there to explain the stuff, but we're supposed to go and study for ourselves. You're not supposed to just trust man blindly. But we're down to the last 10 minutes and I'm just having a blast talking to you. Can you quickly tell the people how you want to go about teaching the Bible's philosophy to individuals? Do you have like a Facebook group where you have certain time frames where you're saying, okay, this month we're going to be expounding on certain areas, and then you invite people in? And then from there, because we're down to the last 10 minutes, please tell everybody about your book and how to get it.
Concerning the groups, I don't have a group yet, although I'm working on specific courses. That's taken a little bit of time because I'm ridiculously busy. Last month was a crazy month where I had to let go of a couple of engagements, and now my April is just stacked. So getting the time to be able to do that sort of group work, I don't, but I do get emails and I do get messages from different people, and I do sit down with those individuals and I do make time for them. And I love, I get to walk the experience new. I'll give you an example. Someone just told me, messaged me, I just bought your book. I came across you and I just came out of the new age religion. I realized it was a deception and it was false light. And now there's something in the Bible that's just natural, and that for some reason, I called and I prayed for help and I stumbled on you. And so, that one experience, I get many experiences like that, although like my time restricts me from doing any sort of group workshops. I'm slowly putting that together.
Oh, that's okay. I'm sure it's going to come.
Yeah.
So tell folks how they can reach out to get your book. Now, if you want them to reach out to you, I know you said some people that send you emails, but if that's not what you want them to do, don't say that. Like, here's my email, contact me, whatever. If that's not what you want, don't say that. Just tell them how to get your book.
Yeah, you can go to my website and email me. I'm really open. I'll talk to anybody. My email is on my website, linwoodjacksonjr.com, LIN, linwoodjacksonjr.com. And you can get my books on my website, or you can type my name into Google. My name will pop up with all my books. Or you can go to Amazon. You can type my name into Amazon, and my name will definitely pop up.
Outstanding. Guys, we have been having a wonderful time talking to Linwood Jr. about love, the philosophy of the Bible, how you can have a rapport with God, and just all of the wonderful things that we should be doing on a regular basis, not just when we are in the four corners of our church. And like right now, we are dealing with COVID. So you really need to sit down, take that time, meditate on the word so you're not feeling empty. So anytime you want to come back, Linwood, we'd love to have you. Guys, we broadcast every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time, and we are on WYTV7.org's platform. So come back, check your time zone so you never miss a segment from us. Until next week, we'll see you later. Bye.